What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media. This is the Truzz the Bank Podacst. There's going to be 3 segments coming out. You see Joshua by my side. We're going to talk about 3 different things in this video. We're going to talk about edge rushers and basically whether or not the Ravens should still target an edge rusher, whether or not they can get an edge rusher, and looking at the guys available because I think a lot of us, want an edge rusher. The next thing we're going to be looking at is the preseason schedule. Personally, I'm a huge fan of it. We'll kind of go over that because it actually, they are good matchups and there are things to definitely look out for in those preseason games. Just kind of talking, there's only 3 this year. How big of an impact is that? And then finally, it's been a couple of episodes, but I gotten is this stupid. So we'll see how that goes. So if you want to listen to all of those right now, you can go check out the podcast platform. You see it below me, Truzz the Bank on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. On Saturday, Joshua and I will be doing the Live with the Viewers live stream. So come check that out, 3 p.m. Eastern time. DM me on Twitter. It's not at Truzz the Bank. I still need to change that. It's at TTB_Ravens on Twitter if you want to be a part of that. Otherwise, you can just show up to the live stream and you can ask questions in the comments. But if you want, the video and, actually be able to talk with us, come through. We've got a couple of spots possibly that could be still available. But let's get into it. First segment right here. We got to talk about this edge rusher situation because, Justin Houston visited a while back prior to the draft. The Ravens, kind of came out. Ravens won't go for him until after the, deadline so that they don't lose a comp pick. And we were like, okay, well, we got Justin Houston coming at the comp pick deadline. Well, it's definitely past the comp pick deadline. Nothing's happened. Justin Houston hasn't been signed. There's other guys available. Ryan Kerrigan, Melvin Ingram, Olivier Vernon are probably the biggest names all out there still. But Joshua, do you think we need to sign an edge rusher still? Like if we want to compete for a championship?
I would say this. When it comes to being a Ravens fan, death is a beautiful thing. So when it comes to, having another edge rusher, especially a veteran edge rusher, I definitely would welcome the idea, especially bringing in someone like a Melvin Ingram or Ryan Kerrigan. At the end of the day, you need technicians, just to get the job done, show these young guys the way, and just that extra push. Granted, yes, we are, hoping that the untapped potential is tapped in with Mr. Owe and, Mr. Dalen Hayes shows his IQ and hopefully makes it to the 53-man roster and possibly become the next Tyus Bowers, if not similar to him, but maybe better. So I definitely still feel like since we are in a time of green light, we done made it to the playoffs back to back. We done finally got a win in the playoffs last year. Let's continue getting over those humps and look what we need, and let's keep on progressing and not digress. So I definitely feel like a veteran edge rusher would suffice us in this situation.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think going after an edge rusher is something I've been all in. Go sign an edge rusher. And if you are to draft what I said, if you were to draft a Gregory Rousseau, or if you were to draft it, then I would say Jason Owe, but Odafe Owe, you got to go after an edge rusher because these guys. I'll transition so I can just talk about Odafe now because that's who we have. He is somebody who obviously is a player picked off of potential. He was somebody who has only played 5 seasons at the edge rusher position. So when you have that, obviously he didn't have any sacks last year. He still got to the quarterback. He still caused havoc on the offensive line and in the backfield. But he doesn't have, those moves. He's not coming in like a Joey Bosa, like a Nick Bosa, like most players that come in as an edge rusher. Like he is somebody who's brand new and he needs to learn things. Not taking that away from him. He can absolutely learn them. However, right now we are in a position where we need an edge rusher to be able to step up right away. Absolutely. And so in that, having a Justin Houston, a Ryan Kerrigan, not only would be able to help, kind of in the meantime, just being able to have somebody out there that can really get to the quarterback and has been doing it for years, but also to just be that mentor role. no offense to Pernell McPhee, but Pernell McPhee was never a great pass rusher. He was good. He was a good football player. He was a very good football player for us, but he was never great. Justin Houston was great. Ryan Kerrigan was great. Melvin Ingram, I don't know if I would say great, but I would say he was really, 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 really good. Like significantly better than what we get out of a Pernell McPhee. Like, so bringing in, if we were able to bring in a guy like that, just having that mentor role, even if they just become a third down pass rusher, even if they're just a roster spot and they're just in the they're in the weight room, they're in the back room, they're in the coach, they're in the defensive lineman meetings, the edge rusher meetings, and they're talking with them, hey, this is why you got to do this. This is why this is important. They're doing all that stuff. That would just do wonders for not only Odafe Oweh, but also do a lot of stuff for Dalen Hayes, because we know Dalen Hayes is all about learning, all about growing. A lot of people saw the video of Dalen Hayes, behind Odafe Oweh, doing the things, and he's doing the mental reps and things like that. These guys want to learn. You can tell they both have great work ethics, and bringing in a guy that would be able to help out with that would do wonders for them. And I think, in my opinion, the best two guys would be Justin Houston, because, he's had that like 20 sack season, and he's been dominant, and he's been producing the last few years. I think he had 8 sacks last year, or Ryan Kerrigan, just because last year Ryan Kerrigan, or the last couple of years, Ryan Kerrigan's been that guy in Washington, talking with a Montez Sweat, talking with last year Chase Young, and he's been doing it. So he's kind of got that experience of just being that veteran presence and really helping out the young guys. But that's kind of my take on it, just because, I don't think there's a negative with it, because right now, getting into the cap situation, we don't have a lot of money. Most likely, if we were to be able to sign any of these players, we would almost guaranteed have to restructure at least one person's contract. And then that would leave us with little to no money left over. A lot of times most teams like to have that money in the bank. You look at what's happened in recent years, guys get cut late in training camp because they don't think they're going to make the 53-man roster. Like, there are reasons to waiting. It's not should we go out and sign a guy immediately today? I'm not 100% sure about that, but I think by the start of the season, we should sign a guy just because we need that veteran presence. However, I think it's very possible that we end up waiting because somebody could get cut. It happens every year. A good football player gets cut and all of a sudden gets picked up. So if the Ravens have a little bit of money, they probably would still need a little bit more money, still need to restructure some contracts to be able to get a guy, that gets cut. Maybe they're going into the 4th year of their rookie deal, or maybe they're just a veteran. They're 29, they're 30 years old. Ravens could go out and snag them. They've done it in recent years. Hasn't worked out with huge success, but it still has that potential. So for me, I would say, in my opinion, I would say wait, but you still gotta sign somebody. And I'm a huge fan of Odafe Oweh. I'm a huge fan of Dalen Hayes. However, I'm a big believer in us needing to sign a veteran edge rusher just to get somebody that you can guarantee can get sacks. Because no matter how good of a rookie you are, even when you come into the NFL, there's no guarantee you get sacks. We saw it with Tim Williams. Tim Williams was like, oh my goodness, how did we get this guy so late? He is a steal. Future Pro Bowler, future superstar. Honestly, this guy's a Ring of Honor. He may have his number retired by the Ravens. Comes to the Ravens, he did nothing. He couldn't get after the quarterback for anything. He couldn't do it for a paycheck, so I don't know what he would do it for. So it's unfortunate that sometimes it doesn't work out that way. Now, do I think it will work out? Yes, I do. I believe in Odafe and I believe in Dalen Hayes. However, there is that possibility. So having somebody, my opinion is Justin Houston, just because he's done it every year. You got to go get somebody. But Joshua, when do you think would be the time to sign him? Do you think you got to snatch him so that nobody else can go after him? Or are you let's wait until training camp gets rolling, until we start seeing other guys get cut and fully weigh our options out? What are you thinking?
The crazy thing is, I think everybody's trying to take a chapter out of our playbook in regards of waiting till preseason games, cuts, and then sign guys. And you haven't heard since he's been to Baltimore and had the meeting. You haven't heard him going to see anybody else that may have sparked their interest in having them on a team. So I definitely feel like it's maybe possibly a mutual agreement there. We never know. Being in the war room, thinking like Eric DaCosta, you just never know how that mind circulates and what goes on through there. So, but I definitely feel like waiting after the preseason games to see who possibly gets cut, because you never know. Maybe the Browns. Excuse me. I forgot who picked up Mr. Clowney, but
Yeah, the
maybe,
Browns have Clowney.
okay,
Yes,
maybe Jadeveon gets cut by the Browns. The Ravens make that steal and say, hey Jadeveon, you still want to play football this season? You want to come to Baltimore? All right, come on now, sit down, let's talk. Let's get that ink on some paper and get you a contract.
absolutely.
So I mean, as fans, we sometimes don't look at the grand scheme of things. Sometimes we don't understand how our front office, all the way down to our coaching staff, works. Hell, sometimes we don't even understand how the ball boys work. But we had to we had to open our eyes and just see the big picture. And because the way I'm looking at the schedule, just about everybody we play is a passing team. The only two teams I really feel like is run heavy. I say 2.5. Cleveland, of course, Minnesota Vikings, and I'll give Pittsburgh possibly being a run heavy team since they got Najee Harris. He's going to be that
Yeah.
workhorse. So everybody else has a pocket passer, a little bit of getting out the pocket, and that's what has killed us these past seasons, is not getting enough pressure on the quarterback. And if we do get the pressure, the quarterbacks are either stepping up or stepping to the side. I mean, hell, look at the last playoff game. We no containment to the right side. And what did Josh Allen continue to do all night long? Bang it to the right side, throwing a deep ball, or making a first down. So we definitely need somebody that still has that technique, that still know how to beat those tackles, and even if it's not a sack, get him off his feet, pass him off to the next guy. So I definitely feel like we definitely gonna make that signing on after the preseason games. So I'm really not worried. I'm just waiting patiently though.
Yeah, I just think and I think people may be like, oh, Browns would never cut Clowney, but like crazy things happen every single offseason. Like
Literally.
like so many guys have gotten cut. How many people this year were just like, oh yeah, and then all of a sudden JJ Watt gets cut. How many people were expecting JJ Watt to get cut by the Houston Texans with everything going on? But like things happen that we don't expect. And Clowney is not a guy that likes training camp, not a guy that likes preseason. He is notorious for skipping camp and not signing until after camp because he doesn't like it. And I think it's going to happen? Probably not, but it could. And there's other edge rushers that it could happen with. Mm-hmm. So, just so many different things can happen. Yeah, waiting, I think, is the play to see, maybe another guy does get dropped. And we can snatch them up and, put them in the bag. And then, we got another edge rusher on our team. So, that it's a lot of fun.
Right. Who knows what Denver may cut Von Miller. You just never know. You never know.
Oh,
hell,
yeah.
Green Bay may say, you know what, Zadarius, I'm tired of you. Hey, Zadarius, will come back to Baltimore?
He'd probably ask for a lot of money. He'd be like, I still want my $15 million y'all offer. We'd be like, no, we don't
let's
got
work
that.
it after we sign Lamar and everybody else. Let's see what we can do with you. But,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but that's going to do it, I think, for this segment. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe for Daily Ravens content. Hit the like button. Comment your thoughts and opinions on the edge rusher situation.